Welcome to BizzShow. Today, the owners of two companies will be competing for an investment that could change their lives. The first competitor is Zenescope, a comic book publishing company headquartered just outside of Philadelphia. They'll battle Alfreya, a corporate and community garden provider based in New Jersey. Both companies will make their case in front of a group of successful business people known as the Wolf PAC. These two companies will battle it out, but only one will win and get an offer from the entire Wolf PAC. Zenescope Entertainment is a comic book company headquartered in a suburban Philadelphia industrial park. When you walk through the front door, you enter a world of fantasy, complete with all kinds of characters. Perhaps the two biggest characters are the co-founders of Zenescope. Longtime friends, Joe Bruscia and Ralph Tedesco.
I was a big comic book fan growing up into my early teens, and just really novels, comic books, movies, escapism, entertainment. And so I knew a lot about the types of products in the industry out there.
We're a comic book publishing company. We create graphic novels, but really what we do is create IP or intellectual property. So the idea was really, when we kind of formulated the company, we were trying to figure out a way to own and create our own stories. And a good way to get them out there was in the comic book world.
Ralph is also an actor, but now he plays roles that he and Joe created. You see, more than anything, Joe and Ralph are storytellers, and they had success immediately with the very first comic they wrote and published in 2005, a horror version of Little Red Riding Hood.
We had this idea to take classic stories, classic fairy tales that we all grew up hearing, that Disney basically did the same thing. They took these dark, creepy stories called Grimm's fairy tales and turned them into stories for children. And our idea was to sort of go back to the roots of the original Grimm's fairy tales and turn them into stories for adult readers. And when we released our first issue, right away we sold out of the first printing, and we kind of hit a nerve, and we knew we had something new and fresh.
Since then, Zenescope has released well over 100 titles that fly off the shelves as soon as they're released.
You want me? Here I am.
One of those titles, Van Helsing, is a series on the Sci-Fi Channel. Zenescope specializes in strong female characters. And Hollywood has taken notice. Zenescope currently has development deals for movies and TV series, and then there's the merchandise.
These are high-end collectibles. It's based off this cover here, which is one of our more iconic covers.
There's so much merchandise, the warehouse is taking over the office.
As we've grown, we've run out of space, and another reason we're probably looking to get some funding so we can get a little bit better space and better warehouse.
But funding isn't the only thing that Ralph and Joe are hoping the Wolf PAC will give them. They are looking for guidance. They're admittedly weak when it comes to growing a business.
We're in business, we're slightly profitable, and we've been able to do this for almost 12 years, but we really want to expand. We've done well with the business side of it for what we've done, but if we had the right business people in here, I think we could just take the company to the next level.
Hey guys, welcome to the pilot episode of BizzShow Philadelphia.
Thank you.
We are the Wolf PAC, and today we're going to be making an offer to just one of two companies. They're competing for investment support from our group. We would like to give you this opportunity to try to increase your odds from 50-50 and convince us why we should be investing in Zenescope.
Great. All right, well, thanks for the intro. We're Zenescope Entertainment. I'm Ralph Tedesco. This is Joe Bruscia, my business partner. We've been in business for 12 years, and we'll tell you a little bit about us, and then I guess you guys will have some questions for us, and we're happy to answer those.
So Zenescope is an entertainment company. Our core business right now is publishing comic books and graphic novels, And our strategy has been to create intellectual properties and characters that we can leverage across multiple revenue streams. We're doing about $3 million a year in sales. It's been between 2.5 and 3 for the last 4 or 5 years, and at this point we are profitable.
As you guys know, comic books and graphic novels are huge right now. We create those to exploit in other forms of media, as Joe mentioned, including graphic novels, as you can see, t-shirts, hats, etc., etc. One big part of our company, our business, is to also exploit those characters and that IP in film and television. We do have a TV series on air right now called Van Helsing. We have 2 TV series in development with different studios, and we have an independent feature right now that we're in pre-production on that we're shooting early next year.
We have the largest female-driven shared universe in all of comic books and graphic novels. That also includes any of our competitors, really. But what I mean by shared universe is similar to what Marvel or DC has, their own shared universe of characters that interact with one another, that albeit in the publishing world as well as on film and TV, we have that same model. Obviously, we're on a smaller scale than a Marvel or DC right now. However, that's where we aspire to be.
So, and we're looking for some growth capital for a couple of reasons. 1, to hire some key employees. 2, to expand our product line and diversify it even more. And 3, to expand and ramp up more sales and marketing activities. So we're hoping that the Wolf PAC can help us with that. And thanks for listening to our pitch, and we'd love to take your questions.
I usually think of comic books as being for kids. What makes you different from a typical comic book company that focuses on children?
So actually the demographics are skew way away from kids at this point. The average comic book reader is over the age of 25, and more than 90% of the people who read comics at this point are adults.
Could you take us through a typical character, what you do with it and how you make money with it?
So really, it's Ralph and I are pretty much a creative force behind the company. I would say 99% of everything that we publish and come up with, we create. We do take some pitches and ideas from other creators, but we'll just brainstorm what ideas we think are good. And our criteria is, can it sell as a comic book and graphic novel? Can it be developed over other revenue streams? And does it appeal to either video games, TV, or film? And then, we'll either, whether we write the comic ourselves or we farm it out to other writers by doing the outline, we really trust our gut, and I think we've been pretty successful.
When we first started, we took a lot of public domain stories, fairy tales, fables, anything that you heard growing up that is in the public domain, and we kind of did what Disney did, but took the opposite approach. You can see some of our characters here, Robin Hood, which is a female iteration of the Robin Hood mythology, but we modernized it and made it for a new generation of readers. We did a lot of that, especially early on. So taking characters, flipping them on their ear, giving them a new mythology based loosely on the mythology we all grew up hearing. But to answer the question about how we develop a character, I'll give you an example of our Van Helsing character, which is loosely based on Abraham Van Helsing, which he's in Dracula book. And in our mythology, it's his daughter, and she's the same as her father. She hunts vampires. That's very successful in that it sold very well as a comic book series. We optioned it for for TV, and now it's a series on Sci-Fi Channel. We like to think that most of the characters we create will sell.
Yeah, and even one of our least popular series that didn't sell as well, we actually optioned for TV. It didn't end up going anywhere, but we did option it. Right. So most of our products are pretty viable that way.
What's the economics of all of this?
To create a character in a series, it's probably about $50,000.
That's for about a 5-issue.
5-issue, yeah, to create an actual graphic novel. And depending on the sales, our return is usually, we have about a 30% return. Is what our profit margins are. So, and one of the good things though is our products are pretty much evergreen. We've been selling, the first comic we ever came out with, Grim Fairy Tales, still sells to this day, and we've sold a couple million copies of it. So, it's a low cost entry to develop the characters. It's not super lucrative on the comic book side. I mean, our upside is definitely on the film and TV and licensing.
So what are the economics of film and TV licensing in terms of the pot at the
So
A lot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, typical, the option deals are not great. We might get anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 for an option. It's a one-year option. But for example, on Van Helsing, which is in our estimation a very poor deal, we took it just to get something on the air. From the TV itself deal, we've got about $250,000 out of it, and then it's actually helped ramp up some sales of the comic book and the other products too. Usually the deals get better as you go along, so hopefully
But it got you going.
Yeah, exactly.
It got us going, and we've looked, and the deals we've made since have really taken us to the next steps. Right. We've gotten smarter, and also once you have proof of concept on the air, it helps people take you a little bit more seriously in the industry as well.
So I'm curious, why do you think your revenues have been essentially flat for the past several years? I would expect continued growth year on year or so.
Sure. And Van Helsing's only been out, it came out last year, so we are having a little bit of growth this year. But we've been very conservative as to how much product we put out. It's a tough industry, we can't even pretend it's not. Marvel and DC, who are the big players, have over 80% of market share. So, we've really focused on at least keeping the lights on, developing different properties every year. And again, like you said, I think the big thing is once we have a couple of really good deals, you'll see the growth on the publishing side, you'll see the growth on the merchandising side. And it's been slow, there has been growth.
Really, when we first began the company 12 years ago, we first came out, we really thought, oh, we're going to have a movie or TV series on the air in a couple of years, it'll be great. A couple of months, yeah. And then, quickly again, we're based on the East Coast in Philadelphia, running day to day there, literally starting in his basement, and not knowing that side of the industry at all. And really realized early on, oh, it's not going to be that easy.
It seems like every other month there's a Marvel movie coming out that you see all over TV. And the comic book shops that we sell to, they really focus on that. They get free advertising for the movie, and what are they going to push in their stores? So, that's definitely limited us.
I think beyond that too is the marketing. We haven't had the expertise in some of the areas that we needed. We're doing this ourselves. We learned this industry ourselves. We're creatives first, obviously, and we've learned the business side of things because we've had to, and we've done a decent job, I think, on that side, but we definitely haven't had the marketing expertise we wanted to bring in.
And when you say marketing, how do you actually use that money? What type of marketing would you do that would have the highest ROI?
I think using it for online advertising and expanding what we do at the conventions.
Yeah,
our conventions are very, very guerrilla right now. We go there, we set up, we sell, we acquire customers, but I think there's a lot of ways we can expand that.
And we haven't done enough of that outreach.
Do you have a digital effort behind them? Do you try to include them into your family? And
sure, we do. We have a database of about 15,000 fans that we've collected from the shows at this point, and we hit them all the time. And that's where a lot of our web store sales are coming from, which is made up more and more of our business over the last couple of years.
And who are your customers?
So mostly males, 25 to 45. That's our core demographic now. As Ralph mentioned, we probably have the highest percentage of female readers in the comic book industry. So, now we probably have 15-20% of our fans and readers are, and they skew a little bit younger,
growing
young adults
female.
to 30-year-olds.
We want to stay, we just want to keep things fresh, keep new ideas coming. We want to create as much IP as we can without oversaturating or overspending. And I think we've done a really good job of running a tight ship and not spending too much or not overspending, because the exit really becomes, just like Marvel, just like DC, you sell to a Disney. We're setting ourselves up like that. At least that's the aim, or that's the goal.
So you talk about an exit strategy. When we look at your sales, we look at your net, you say you're kind of eking out a living from that. As investors coming in, putting in money, we have to see some kind of return on our investment. Are you saying that during your holding period, we probably wouldn't see much return? Really, our only exit is our only chance to have a good return on investment is upon your exit. And if so, do you have a time frame for that?
I think we're going to see our revenue ramp up tremendously over the next 2 to 3 years. So I think there will be money coming out of the company for investors at that point. I would say an exit in 3 to 5 years is reasonable. Maybe sooner, the way that since Netflix just lost all of their Disney properties and they're scrambling, and we can always hope.
Tell me a little bit about your sales channel, like your process of getting from your creative desk and finished product into the market.
So we have, there is one distributor who controls the entire market for comic books, and they're a blessing and a curse. So it's good that we can just put our products in their catalog. They send it out to every single comic book retailer in the country and all the bookstores. So they order from the catalog. We send them our products on a non-returnable basis. So they take it in, they sell it, and then that represents about 50% of our business right now. And the other 50%, as Ralph mentioned, is trade shows and then converting customers we get out at the trade shows to Webster sales.
And of that, what's more profitable?
The Webster sales are much more profitable.
So what do you mean digitally?
Digitally, we're doing about $200,000 a year. Again, one of the things that we didn't mention, but for investment capital, we're looking to build our own app, a reader, because when we first started selling digital, we were probably actually doing a little bit more than we are now. Marvel and DC came in, and it's the same kind of thing. They're taking over the market share.
There's one main distributor digitally as well, called Comixology.
Yeah.
And yeah, Marvel and DC dominate that now.
Thank you for your presentation. We'll see you back out for the Battle of the Businesses.
Okay.
Thank you. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Really interesting. I mean, that distribution channel is a little scary, right? Having one guy or one company controlling so much of the distribution. And I think it's important that they have that creative, like their talent is creative, right? And their IP on that creative. It was really cool though that they got their, they got their IP. Somebody helped them, or they read or did something where their IP, they got ahead of IP. Usually creative guys, they love to draw, and they're in their garage, like playing it out. But at the end of the day, they don't understand that has a value.
Yeah, and they've spent 12 years now developing that IP, which has substantial value. So when you look at their exit strategy, that makes a lot of sense. The question is, timing-wise, when that might happen, who might pick them up?
I'm not sure how much value that IP has, because I think it's cyclical, it's faddish. And I'm willing to bet if you look at the numbers, you'll see some IP, has big spikes up and then it's decayed and it's done. Yeah. Last year's character is last year's character. There's new characters this year.
Yeah, but I think like Van Helsing and their core groups of, I think their creative property that are going to be evergreen. We've seen Batman. I've seen Batman in Spider-Man in several different iterations by actors, but at the end of the day, it's still.
And it has to be reinvented, though. Isn't there always, in order to keep a character like that evergreen, there has to be a certain amount of reinvention, right? You can't assume a static audience. I mean, just as my first gut reaction to that is my kids barely pick up books anymore. Hate to say, but that's just not the way they're consuming their media and entertainment. And
I do like the focus on turning the characters into female heroines. You have a Robin Hood.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I'm all about
reconfigure that. And so it's interesting that most of the readers are still kind of
men,
younger men.
Interesting. That's because they keep getting more buxom.
In business, there is always room to learn. So we hope you'll enjoy spending 60 seconds with Professor X.
I'm here today to give you 3 tips on how to build your brand and achieve success on social media. Number 1, be honest. If you start to obscure facts, if you start to lie to your audience, if you start to make up half-truths, you'll soon find that people can no longer trust you. Once you've lost trust on social, you'll start to lose your audience. Number 2 is be authentic. Be your real self. Show who you really are to your audience. Don't hide who you are. Don't be afraid to show your beliefs, your ideas, your faith, your family. People will fall in love with who you are and want more. And what will they want more of? Well, number 3, inform and entertain. Always give your audience something to leave them gasping, something to keep them interested. Give them facts, give them figures, give them numbers, or show them new experiences. We come to social media to learn something, and we're going to come to you to find out new information. So educate us, entertain us, inform us. So, if you take all those 3 things, be honest, be authentic, and inform or entertain, you will have social media success.
David Wagstaff is trying to make the world a better place, one garden at a time. Alfreya is the company that David founded. The name is a combination of alfresco and area. Alfreya creates community gardens for major corporations so the employees can grow and eat their own food.
When people grow their own food, they're happier, healthier, higher productivity, and they miss less days of work. And it gets even better than that. Because what happens is when people are growing their own food, their kids learn about it. And when their kids learn about it, they want to eat fresh fruits and vegetables too. And when they do that, what happens is the same effect. So they're happier, they're healthier, they miss less days of school. And when they miss less days of school, that means the parent who's an employee of the company misses less days of work.
Alfreya also has community gardens and housing complexes like this one in Freehold, New Jersey, owned by Morgan Properties.
Morgan is one of the largest property management companies in the country. They're one of the top 25, and they're looking for innovative amenities to help attract and retain residents. They had a great story. They told me last week that a resident moved from this community to another community, and one of their first questions was, "Can you put in a food garden here too?" I love that.
Right now, Alfreya's headquarters is in a church that David belongs to in Galloway, New Jersey. And although he likes all the space, there are obvious drawbacks.
The drawback is we have to put everything away, for sure weekends and some weeknights.
The company is quickly outgrowing its humble beginnings and needs funding not only for new office space, but for a sales staff to deal with the demand.
Actually, every company that we've talked to about this has continued moving us forward in the process for continuing discussions. We had a conversation, I guess I can say it, with IBM's Chief Health Officer. He said this is the way the world's moving. This is IBM, huge, enormous company. He believes that the holistic look at employee health and wellness is the way it should be going.
David Wagstaff knows he's on to something. This is a small company with big dreams.
Yeah, so our vision is a world where everyone has access to sustainably grown food. That's a pretty big vision, that's global. So we'd really like to take it to a point where we're an enabler, a facilitator, and people eating good, healthy food. And for everyone to have access, it means people need to be able to grow their own because not everyone will be able to afford sustainably grown food.
So this is all a mission of love.
It is a mission of love, and I think it's also right for the world. It's right for people. When people grow their own, they're happier, and that just is good for everyone.
Hey guys, welcome to the pilot episode of BizzShow Philadelphia. We are the Wolf PAC, and today we will be making an offer to one of two businesses competing for investment and support from our group. Right now you have a 50-50 chance of being that company, and we'd like to give you the opportunity of increasing those odds.
Thank you for having us here today. We're excited to be part of it.
Very excited. We met you a little bit through the video and your backstory. Can you tell us who you have with you today?
Sure, this is Greg Shelton. He's my Chief Marketing Officer. He just joined us a few weeks ago. Really excited to have him on board. We believe that marketing is such a fundamental part of growing a business to scale, and Greg has a phenomenal background. Not only did he work at Capital One as head of consumer marketing, he's also an entrepreneur. He started 2 businesses and has helped grow them successfully.
You've known Dave for 10 years now,
Yes.
but you've now made a financial commitment to alter your career to join him.
Yes.
What is it about Alfreya that makes you think that that's a wise move?
Well, the mission of the company that David had even before I joined, because I am new with the company, are the building blocks that I believe in any company. David's pounded the pavement, has the right work ethic, which again, that's what I'm about. But he also backs up a very good tech background. I understand the startup world as David does. So I feel like there's two guys coming together that have the same experience. And again, it's an amazing fit for me. I'm just so excited for that part of it.
So can you tell us a little bit about Alfreya?
Sure, Alfreya is a really incredibly exciting opportunity to make an impact on social issues, environmental issues, and a good financial return for investors as well. We're a triple bottom line company that helps people grow, eat, and enjoy fresh foods.
Can you tell us a little bit more what you mean by triple bottom line?
Yeah, so food is so fundamental, right? If everybody eats, so first it's the biggest industry on the face of the planet because everyone does eat. And it has environmental impact because when we grow food, that has impact with the fertilizers and pesticides and all of those things. And actually, carbon when it's food when it's grown through the industrial system releases carbon into the atmosphere, which creates some greenhouse gases. And so that's one of the impacts, plus the miles that food travels is a big impact on the environment as well. So that's a huge impact. And because everybody eats, we know there's issues of food scarcity that exist out there where some families are food insecure. I've seen statistics. As many as 25% of people in the Philadelphia area experience food insecurity. And so it's a really big issue. Places like Camden, it's a much higher percentage of folks who don't have enough to eat.
I love your passion for what you're doing, and your mission is fabulous. I mean, to have a triple bottom line, this idea of social, environmental, financial, fabulous, love it all. question for you is, I'm not really sure what your business model is. What is it exactly that you're selling? And in particular, how would you articulate your elevator pitch? Because I feel like I get the whole story, but I want the elevator pitch. What is that elevator pitch?
We started out as a consumer platform, C2C. So it was one consumer sharing land with another consumer. Maybe you have a side yard or a backyard. One consumer sharing services. So you know what Airbnb's done for the bedroom, we're doing for the garden and farm, so people can share. And then same with the food services. Once you've grown too much, you know, when you have too many cucumbers or too many kale, you can share it with another neighbor. So that was how we started out, and we doubled in subscribers every 6 to 8 weeks for the first 9 months of our business. Then sometime around the spring, we started looking at this and we said, you know, that's nice. We think we can get to 7,000 people by the end of the year if we kept going with that platform. But what we realized is that there was this huge issue out here of healthcare. And so our route to market today is through corporations as our primary mechanism, because corporations care about the $12,865 a year they're spending on healthcare. And most larger companies, as you all may know, are self-insuring. So it's a huge issue. If we can save them a couple dollars per employee per month, that's a huge savings for them on their bottom line. So what we're doing as a service is we're building workplace gardens, designing them, installing, helping to maintain them. And then we're also educating the workforce about healthful eating practices and also how to grow food successfully. And then we have this farm to workplace delivery platform where we're also delivering food, not like a CSA where you get a box of whatever you get to choose what you want, which is more appealing to consumers, and it's the direction farming is going today, where consumers get to choose their own source.
If I'm an individual, I really have 3 options. So I can still do your consumer to consumer, where I'm basically taking advantage of someone else's land to grow crops on myself.
Yes.
And I can also have your produce shipped to me at my home. Or if I'm in an apartment, I can have your team come out and I convince my landlord to build a farm at our apartment, or the third is to have that happen at work. Is that correct?
So I kind of think of it as we have 3 business lines right now. Each are showing a lot of great traction. So the first is the business environment, where we're serving everything that the business needs to have their employees eat healthful food. We can set up corporate gardens where they live, or we can have them share. Someone in finance can share with someone in purchasing. If someone in finance has extra land and someone in purchasing needs it, they can share. Secondly, the services aspect. So someone in purchasing may know how to farm, but doesn't have a space to grow. So they can help someone maybe in legal learn how to grow food successfully, or they can go to their property and help them succeed.
How are you making money from all of this? What's your business model?
So our business model, a really great question, is to have the companies pay for the services for the employees. So remember, this is the core services of building the gardens, the trainings, and workshops. So remember, we have $12,865 per year per employee to work with as an issue. It turns out half of that is food-related illnesses, type 2 diabetes, cancers, et cetera. So companies benefit if we can help their employees eat more healthfully. So we're charging a large company something like a couple dollars an employee per month to have the full benefits of Alfrea. That means that they have access to gardening space. They have access to having someone help them grow food, and they have access to land to grow and services, and they have a platform where they can buy, sell, or share food, and we can deliver it to the workplace. So for that group of services, we're having the company, we're charging the company.
Is that in a contract? Is it recurring revenue? They have to live with that contract for a certain period of time, or they can go on and off it?
Yes, it is a contract. We do have an agreement in place today with 3 large hospital systems in the Philadelphia area, where they're paying us because they fully understand the opportunity from healthcare. It was actually their cardiologist team that recommended that they bring something in like us, because they recognize their own employees, not only the community at large, but ran the risk of significant health illnesses.
I'm curious, who says yes to your proposal? In the hospital marketplace, is it HR and at the commercial facilities? Just tell me a little bit about how you get the customer.
Yeah, so right now, what we're primarily focusing on is like the chief health officer of IBM, like that kind of role, someone who has oversight over a large range of their healthcare spend and recognizes the challenges of trying to reduce that.
What kind of revenue are you doing now, and what do you project? And are those, another question on that is, are the employees given the option or is the hospital saying all our employees are going to be on this plan?
We're forecasting within the next 5 years, $18 million of revenue, $5 million of net income.
And how much will it cost you to service that contract?
The food delivery part of it, we are paid a transaction fee on as well. And so that part is basically self-sustaining for us. The serving, the monthly fees, it depends upon how much we're spending on trainings and workshops. We don't have a solid number, but for the most part, we have team members. We have an in-house farmer who can do some of the training.
How did you come to that $2 pricing? It sounds like you're not quite sure what your costs are. So it's hard to back into your pricing if you don't really know what the costs are.
Yeah, it's true that some of the costs will vary over time, right? As we look at how much do we pay on training, what does a company want? What kind of speaker do they want? Do they want a farmer, or do they want someone who is a world-renowned expert on a topic to come in and speak to them? And we can adjust that based on what they're looking for. So we ended up driving $2 a month as a price as just a very low price for a corporation to pay for an employee wellness benefit that's an option for employees to pay. So when you look at a gym membership, companies pay $10, $15. We know some health insurance companies will provide the employer over $15 a month as doing things that are helpful as a voluntary benefit. So $2 a month is for large employers. For smaller employees, it may be as much as $25 a month.
Where's the hard data, clinical proof that just by having a garden, you're going to actually get that immediate return? I mean, it's pretty circuitous, it seems.
We're early stages. I don't want to overemphasize where we are. But there are lots of studies that prove when you grow your own food, you actually eat more fruits and vegetables. And it's a logical connection too, but there are studies that do document that. And we can provide you, the studies if you'd like to see them.
Can I follow up on that by asking, say everything happens, you do studies, and you find out that this does pay for itself. What's to prevent someone else from coming in and doing exactly the same thing you're doing and doing it cheaper?
Everyone hears why gardens are important. If we were to get into it like an IBM, from a marketing perspective, I'll be selling them a suite of products incessantly, in the sense that they're going to be sticky customers because they're going to show immediately, hey, this vegetables matter. You would get recipes on how to cook for yourself, and then the mentality starts to shift.
I'm lacking some focus here, so tell me what you think your 3 biggest priorities are to drive your revenues from what you say 30,000 in the last couple of months to 18 million in revenue. That's a huge growth curve. What's going to get us there?
So what's going to get us there is bringing on board more customers, companies that care about employee health. So as I mentioned earlier, there's 26 million Americans working for the Fortune 500 companies. Our 18 million forecast accounts for 500,000 employees being on our platform in 5 years. So 500,000 employees at a few dollars a month provide a significant part of that revenue, but we're also earning, again, money from the food delivery service.
I want to thank you both for your presentation, and we'll look forward to seeing you back for the Battle of the Businesses.
Thank you all
very much.
Thank you for having us here.
Thank you.
There's some interesting stuff in there, though, right? There's, the shared economy gets people all, riled up. I'm always trying to figure out how do you segment your market tight so you can know that something's going to be sellable. And I'm going to go to the healthcare officer and the chief medical. I'm in that business, and I can't get to see those guys, and I've been doing it for 22 years.
Right. It's not that easy.
But hospitals' contracts take forever to get signed.
Well, not only that, but how sticky is it really going to be if 3% of their employees use it?
Right.
Are they going to continue to pay for all of them? Probably not.
Right.
The next manager is going to come in and look at that contract and go, wait a minute here, what are we spending money on?
That's right.
We're not getting any for it. I'm still struggling, what's the employee getting for $2 a month? Right. I can't figure that out.
A lecture or two.
And they're putting in gardens locally and stuff, but I'm concerned about the labor intenseness of that.
Oh,
I mean, that's
a whole nother animal.
And especially as you talk about expanding nationwide to support that. I would want to see more proof of concept that they can really get those hospital systems or other companies to buy in, and if they can, and show what the what the cost to support that is. It could be a very good business.
He's got great ideas. He's got a passion, but he's not a CEO. Yeah. Right. And you need a CEO that's going to run that company to get it to 18 million.
Right. The vision is great, but it's like, how do you turn that into a value proposition that people will pay for over and over again?
I always worry. I always worry when the chief marketing officer comes from a big company, like a bank, because this is an entrepreneurial startup, and marketing that concept is completely different.
Right.
I know the term make the customer sticky. I could hear it coming out of the banking community in Delaware. I'd hear that at cocktail parties, and I just wanted to jump out the window.
Jerry, you had an idea how Alfredo might be able to make more money based on some of the regulations in the city of Philadelphia?
Yes. I mean, I'm not sure if they're taking advantage of some of the laws in terms of heights of buildings. You know, most of the buildings in the Point Breeze section of Philadelphia, the height limit is 38 feet. Unless you put a green roof or a garden on top of it, you can grow it. You can raise that structure up to 56 feet without any variance changes. So there is an opportunity there. And I also think with them, you know, they're on to something in the peer-to-peer environment. If you look at Uber, you look at Airbnb, there's a lot of people that are going down that path of wanting to do things on their own and not rely on the Giant or the Acme or so. There is an opportunity there.
Let's see what more we learn about them during the Battle of the Businesses.
Great.
Perfect. The Wolf PAC believes it is very important for businesses to support nonprofits in their communities. Therefore, we as a group have decided to share a percentage of any upside of any investment made on this show with this nonprofit.
So Chosen 300 is an interdenominational and interracial mission. We distribute meals and services to those in need to help them not only get the immediate need met of food, but also provide them with services that will help them get up. We do job training, computer labs, expungement services where we help get their record clean so they become employable. We have a barbershop where they can get their haircut for free and go out and land a job. So there's an old saying that if you give a man a fish, he can eat for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, he can eat for a lifetime. And this is an opportunity to not only just meet people's immediate need, but also give them the tools that they need to move towards self-sufficiency. And it's an opportunity for people to come together for the purpose of helping others, putting aside their denominational differences and sometimes even their faith, to be able to say that, you know what, we can work together despite our differences. We have enough commonality either in our humanity or in our Christianity to be able to share kindness and love with other people.
The viewing audience has just learned about a very special nonprofit servicing the Greater Delaware Valley. We hope you will join us in supporting this nonprofit and any other nonprofits in your community. Thank you.
It's time for the Battle of the Businesses.
Welcome to the Battle of the Businesses. You have each been given information about the other company. During this segment, we hope to learn a little bit more about you. You'll have the opportunity to ask each other questions, and at the end, you'll have an opportunity to make a closing statement. It's all yours.
We're wondering, you had $2 million of expenses last year. You obviously had a number of products fail. Can you explain why they failed and what you're doing to prevent future failures?
Well, I would say that our business overall is successful. I don't know that we had individual products fail. There are not a lot of higher margin products that we're putting out at this point. So I wouldn't say the products themselves fail. I think that's inaccurate.
So what do you attribute to lack of profitability?
Well, I think that it's expensive, for the amount of products we're putting out, there's a lot of expense that goes into it. So, you know, again, there's not a lot of upside on the comic book publishing at this point, and we're looking more towards growth on the film side, and publishing will grow with that.
As well as the merchandising stuff. As far as from what I'm understanding of your business plan, correct me if I'm unclear, your plan is to really build, I guess, gardens and ways to garden your own food, through corporate companies. Is that correct?
Yes, thanks. So what we are doing is we're helping people grow, eat, and enjoy fresh, sustainably grown foods through corporations as our primary route to market and apartment buildings. So what we do is we help them grow, learn about growing. When people learn about growing, they eat more fruits and vegetables, which ends up having them have higher cognitive function. They miss less days of work. They're more productive. And it's good, and it actually even gets better than that, because not only are they healthier and happier and miss less days of work, their kids that learn about eating food also are happier and healthier and miss less days of school. And what happens when the kids miss less days of school? The parents do too.
So how do you incentivize people to grow their own food, especially in a day and age where healthy eating is much more available than it's ever been?
So today, people are increasingly growing their own food. Community gardening is up over 200% in the last 5 years alone. Roughly 1/3 of Americans are growing some part of their own food. That's 42 million Americans are growing some part. But yet, at the same time, 58 million Americans live in apartments, and they don't have access to grow their own, because typically apartments haven't offered a garden amenity. So what we're doing is we're making that accessible. So the property managers are paying us to provide an innovative benefit for their residents to grow food. And they naturally then want to, because that's what Americans want to do. They want to know where their food's coming from, and they want to know that it's healthy, and they want to know they can trust it. And today there's skepticism of the industrial food system by many Americans, not all, but by many.
Okay. And do you think you can compete with meal delivery services like Blue Apron, Catered Fit? There's hundreds of them. I use one. My meals are about $9 per meal. Healthy options, vegan options. I do a paleo diet. My girlfriend does a vegan diet. By ordering online, food delivery. I mean, how do you compete with Amazon buying Whole Foods, where people can get food delivered right to their door now? I mean, is that viable in this day and age?
Partly what we are is we're a health company. We're integrative health for employees. So it's a full thing of helping people grow their own. When they grow their own, they learn about where food came from, and they actually do eat more fruits and vegetables as part of that. We're not a box provider. The problem with boxes is, like the CSA box, 40% of the food in the box is wasted because it's something the person didn't like or they didn't want in the first place. So through our platform, people get to order exactly what they want. Nothing more, nothing less. If they like carrots but not rhubarb, they're not going to order rhubarb, just carrots. So it's all part of the movement, and I love that you're part of it. So thank you for being part of the movement.
One thing I wanted to add to that is keep in mind when you're looking at like an Amazon, you can buy any type of food on Amazon. We are health conscious, and so our mission and our brand platform is about health and wellness. So again, when you throw out a lot of bigger companies, it's really our focus is to make sure you're eating it the right way and educate people to eat the right way too.
Well, and that being said, whether you're educating people to eat more healthy, why will they, people are growing food at home obviously right now, and that may cause them to eat more healthy, but they're not growing more food. They're going to the store and still buying it, or buying it from Amazon. What's going to make them take to your business rather than just get it the easiest way they can?
So we believe all of that's part of the platform. So the easiest way for consumers to get food is to have it delivered. We do think Amazon's part of a solution, but Amazon doesn't have local, sustainably grown food currently in their platform. So most of it's grown wherever it's grown, right? South America, could be 2,000 miles away, a long ways away. And so by providing the full platform and education and cooking classes for people in the corporation, as well as teaching them to succeed, because as we said, 1 in 3 Americans is trying to grow their own food today at home, but they have limited success. Sometimes the tomato leaves are too yellow and they don't know what to do about it. So through our platform, they can learn how to succeed. And when people succeed, they tend to do more of it, right? It's just kind of natural. If you have grown a bumper crop of things that you're really enjoying, you're going to do more of that the next year. So our platform is about doing all the things, making it easy, including food delivery as part of the platform. But it's local and sustainable, and companies care about that because they want to support the local economy that they're a part of.
Okay, we're going to move to your closing statements now. This is your final chance to try to sway our votes. So I'd like you both to tell us why you think we should invest in your company and why we shouldn't invest in the other company. And since we have Alfrea and Zenescope A to Z, we're going to start with Alfrea.
So I think this is a great opportunity to feel good about your investment dollars, do good for society, but also make a very good return. And when we partner with you all, you'll bring your knowledge and expertise. We already have a solid management team, but we're open to learning. You all have scaled businesses quite large, and we believe that that's an opportunity for Alfrea. It's the right time. Everyone knows it right now. Farm to table is incredibly hot. People want to participate. Healthcare is one of the biggest issues right now facing the country, with over 50% of people being obese. It's a huge issue. So how do you address a complicated issue like that? We believe we're part of that solution, and we believe it's an enormous market opportunity for those who want to participate. We look forward to working with you.
And the second part of the question, why should we not invest in Zenescope?
And so why not to invest in Zenescope? I think they've had 15 years of track record. I think they've admitted that they have some weaknesses in the management team. They've struggled with that over time. And I think they're still trying to figure it out. I think some fundamentals on how they're performing financially, they don't understand today. So if I were an investor, I'd be concerned about investing in them for those reasons.
All right, so we'll start with why to invest in us. We have a proven successful track record. We've created a huge library of characters and intellectual properties. We're making money every month and every year. If you look at a company like Marvel, which is similar to us, we're a much smaller scale. 11 years ago, they were in bankruptcy. 7 years ago, they sold to Disney for $4 billion. So the upside is there. Are we going to sell for $4 billion? No, but there is great potential for our company and for our intellectual property. As far as why not to invest in Alfrea, again, 9 out of 10 startups go bankrupt. They're not successful, so they're right away they're up against the odds. I'm not buying that people are going to re-educate themselves on how they buy food and how they eat and start to produce their own groceries, I guess. And I really, for me, it's a little hard to get my head around their business plan. So I don't know how the average person is going to do it.
I mean, it's clear they're not turning a profit right now. They can't forecast a profit. They're losing money. We're turning a profit on a yearly basis. Yes, we want to grow that profit, and that's why we need your help.
And to go back to
we're
their
a stable
point,
company.
We do need the expertise. We do need help. We do need investment capital to get the right people in. I think we have great ideas. We just could execute them better with some help.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I'm really excited. I get to do the summary of what we liked and what we didn't like for Alfrea. Absolutely love your excitement and passion for the business. Clearly it's a calling. It's not just a job. It's not just work for you. That's really what you were meant to do. Love the whole idea of the triple bottom line, that you are, for the societal benefit, that it's all about benefiting the environment, as well as the financial return on the bottom line, as well as the fact that you've gotten a number of contracts already in just the past few months, all very positive signs. The flip side, however, is of course that you really don't have much of a track record at this point in time, and in fact you're still losing money without a clear path of how are you going to really scale and control those costs so that you can turn over to profitability. And I'm really concerned about your lack of a value proposition. You have so many great ideas. I keep wanting you to hone it into like that big idea that you're going to go sell and replicate over and over again. So I think the question for us as a Wolf PAC is the investment worth it? Are we willing to make the investment and wait to see what flourishes?
I have the pleasure of sort of giving you what I think are the strengths, and then also what I think some are the challenges relative to your presentation today. And I love the fact that you have revenue, that you have profit, and that you have runway. I think that's great. I'm also very impressed with the fact that you built an intellectual property library. Of course, there's some challenges, like every business has challenges. Very concerned about the distribution strategy, that you have one distributor that kind of controls the market. I like to be that distributor sometimes when I was listening to you guys. And I think that the concept of digital, right, the digital, that piece doesn't seem like it's evolved at all for you. In a world where we're really focused on, action and information so quickly today, that you haven't investigated that was a little disconcerting to me.
Are you ready to vote?
We're ready.
We should point out that the members of the Wolf PAC have no idea who the other person is voting for, and obviously when we get to 3 votes, that's who's going to qualify for the funding. Maurice, who do you vote for? 1 vote for Zenescope. Len. 2 votes for Zenescope. You would have to sweep the board at this point. Kent. 3 votes for Zenescope, and so Zenescope qualifies for the funding. Can we see Judy? Zenescope, so far it's a clean sweep, and Jerry. Zenescope, all 5. Gentlemen, congratulations. As the Wolf PAC discusses how much they want to invest in Zenescope, we check in with Ralph and Joe. Congratulations, that's wonderful. What does this mean to you?
It's great. Hopefully we can strike a deal here that helps the company and gets us to where we need to be. So we're really excited that we won.
It sounds like all 5 of them are coming in. They're going to want to be involved in some capacity and help guide us on that end of things. So that's really what's important to us.
Unfortunately, Alfrea did not get the backing, so we asked them what went wrong.
We are a true startup. They've been going for, I think, 12 years. So they have a track record. They can show a profit. How many startups make an integral income in the short time we've done it?
I think we do have a great story. I think we have a huge market opportunity. I know we're going to succeed, and I'm putting, my time and energy and money behind that. But I do recognize we're really early.
The Wolf PAC has completed their deliberations. They're ready to make an offer to Zenescope.
Ralph and Joe from Zenescope, congratulations on winning the Battle of the Businesses.
Thank you.
Congratulations
Thank you.
Also on being the first winners ever of BizzShow Philadelphia.
Appreciate it.
We have met and we have talked about your company, and we're extremely excited about the
ideas you have and the potential for your company. And we would like to make you an offer to become partners. And we'd like to help fund part of your growth. And we'd also like to offer our time and our support and our wealth of expertise in helping you to get to that next stage.
Awesome.
So the offer that we have for you is an offer of $300,000 for 7.5% of your company.
Okay. Can we think about that a second?
You have 2.5 seconds.
You have 2.5 seconds.
And you can talk to each other if you'd like.
All right. So.
Expertise. How much is that worth? What do you think? Maybe we can sit here. All right. Let's take it.
All right. We're going to accept your offer.
All right. Smart man.
Help us spread the word about BizzShow. Share with family and friends. Post links on social media. Watch it again. To find out how to be on BizzShow or learn more about the businesses you've seen, go to BizzShow.com. Thank you.